My next guest coming back on from Freedom's Fund USA, Ashley Smith Thomas. Welcome back to the James Show. Your reaction to Trump's speech last night overall? I hear more positive than negative in the early polls.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me. I watched his speech last night. I think he did a very good job. He articulated very well his policy positions, what's already been accomplished thus far in 6 weeks of him stepping foot in the Oval Office. And I think it went well. I think it was also very telling of how partisan the Congress has become, meaning the fact that the Democrats' reaction, granted, I mean, typical when a president comes and shares their speech, both sides, whether it was President Biden, Republicans would make their voices known, just like we saw last night with President Trump, Democrats making their voices known. But at the end of the day, there needs to be decorum. And what we saw last night was lack of decorum of what we saw by Congressman Green. And that was very disappointing. I mean, he knows better. He's been in Congress for a very long time. And for him to act out that way was just disappointing to see. But what was even more disappointing for me when watching the speech last night was the fact that the Democrats could not even stand and applaud and support DJ, the 13-year-old who is battling brain cancer. They just stayed sitting down. And to me, that just shows really how out of touch with reality of the Democrats are. And that is why the American people voted for Donald Trump last November.
Well, I know you don't like it, but I see the reaction to Al Green getting kicked out. And for people who are already Team Blue voters, they kind of like that. They're like, yeah, this guy's standing up and we should all be getting kicked out like that. You know, I think that might have done him more good than bad.
That is an interesting perspective. And sure, maybe for some that's on the left, they think that is great. It helps with them in terms of their message of the resistance. I mean, some of the Democrats had T-shirts on there in Congress that said resist. And of course, they had their signs that they were holding up during the speech. However, just in terms of civility and decorum, I think that's something on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, that needs to be reestablished. I'm just disappointed to see how partisan politics has become on both sides. And it would just be great to see decorum once again. And I just had expected, I think, more from Democrats. And unfortunately, it just was not delivered last night.
Well, this is also a good time to find out who the hacks are, because there were a lot of people. There was an Obama State of the Union where Representative Joe Wilson yelled, "You lie," just kind of off microphone, and it interrupted, and it was like a big hullabaloo. And we all had to get lectured for the next week about how you got to respect the office of the president. And if some of those people now are saying great things about Al Green, you know who the hacks are.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's on both sides. And so when you look at from the speech last night, how the Democrats behaved, again, getting up during the middle of the speech, walking out, and then, of course, what happened with Congressman Green, and then Democrats like Debbie Wasserman Schultz just sitting down, kind of rolling her eyes when they panned on DJ, and even the guests that Melania Trump had brought in and that the president had there in the gallery. What is really sad to me is, again, how partisan everything has become, that we can't even celebrate, let alone applaud or even show sympathy for Americans whose lives have been impacted by failed policies.
All right, Ashley Smith Thomas, good stuff. How do we find your work online?
Yes, you can find me at freedomsfundusa.org. That's freedomsfundusa.org. Or you can find me on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Ashley Smith Thomas.
Well, it's been a while. Don't be a stranger. Thanks, Ashley.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, she was great during the election. We had like this whole cast of guests during the election that kind of dropped off afterwards. This is Julian and Crowley. You're on WBAP. Your thoughts on Trump's speech last night?
Yes, sir. Just wanted to say that I come from a family that's half Democrat and half Republican. Even what the speech was last night, my mom literally told me, she was like, Trump is actually speaking in terms that I can get with and go with. So I feel like it's a new beginning for us. Like, besides all the circus of everybody saying, hey, you know what, Al Green getting up, standing up, them doing all their things with the little signs and everything. I just want everybody to know that what he said is we're making America great again.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why you see CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS so rarely actually break into a Trump speech live. They always prefer to record it and then just play back the parts that make him look, the least popular or least good. Because a lot of people, when they get the unfiltered view of Donald Trump, they're like, well, this isn't the bloodthirsty Hitler I was promised. This guy actually seems like a regular human being. Maybe I should listen to what he has to say.
And like I said, they didn't even give him, like I said, they were like saying, oh, we need to see what he's going to talk about the economy. Okay, well, he's going in and talking about the economy. He's going in and talking about, look at all the people, all the survivors and everybody that they were talking to last night. There's a reason why we're doing what we're doing right now. You're talking to someone that my family is literally all immigrants that came here the right way. So I believe in that. You're talking to someone also that's a blue collar worker for an HVAC company. Hey, I've made my life. America has made the greatest thing for me. And I want everybody to know that you can do anything in your life in America. And literally with Trump right now, he's put us in the right direction to do that.
Okay, your name's Julian and you work in HVAC. Can we guess where you immigrated from?
So for me, I didn't. I'm basically the anchor baby, not the anchor baby like that, but my mom is from southern France. My dad is from Acapulco, Mexico, and my brother is from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So they all got their green cards and came over here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were kind of guessing half of that already, sir. All right, great phone call. I'd love to hear your reaction, and thanks for sharing your mom's reaction as well. That's Julian in Crowley. One of the things that I think is probably the most important, can I just go ahead and say the part I thought was the most important part of the speech, comes from the part where he talked about, it was back to back. First, he mentioned budget cuts. Now, if you've been listening to the James Show, that is what I dream of. I have my biggest disappointment. The reason why I call myself is political independent is because neither party is serious about balancing the budget. And if you want to talk about what has kept the middle class down more so than anything, the lower class down more than anything, it's the inflation that naturally comes from the Federal Reserve printing money because we don't balance our budget. And now that the biggest expense that we have, even more so than our military, is the interest on the budget, just servicing that. We have trillions of dollars of unfunded liabilities, $38 trillion in debt hanging over our heads. The most important priority we should have is balancing the budget. And so when someone actually talks about it, this is like this is seductive, because I've never even been teased like this in the last, 25 years? No one's even brought up balancing the budget. That was just some mystical thing that disappeared over the horizon between Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. But someone actually brought it up last night, and I just can't tell you how excited this makes me. I mean, not like that. I just mean politically excited.
And today, interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time. And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it.
Oh, my God. Did he just... Oh, my God. That just gets me so excited. But how are we going to do that? Where are we going to come up with all this money to balance the budget or cut spending? I mean, they talk about cutting spending a lot with the Doge and getting all the waste, fraud, and abuse out of entitlements. But here's the idea. And this is what I'm going to ask you about. What do you think of this idea? Because I think this is worth a shot. I'm not sure if it's going to work or if it'll make enough money. Of course, we're going to need spending cuts on top of it. But what do you think about this idea of gold cards where we sell, hey, you want to come here to America? $5 million. Maybe it should be $10 million. But I think I'm on board with this. If we close down the border, stop illegal immigration, and get rid of the income tax, this could replace the income tax. Now, then I would be on board. But listen, this is what he brought up last night.
With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the gold card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out.
So what do you think about that? What do you think about the idea of the gold card? Also, what was your favorite part of the speech last night? 800-288-9227. This is Jill and Salina. You're on the James Show. What do you think?
I thought his speech was great. And I think if you take the political parties out of it and people just look at, okay, you know, how did he sound and what did he talk about? And he talked about everything. And he just was very well put together. He's very transparent. And like I said, you know, if you take the political parties out of it and don't worry about Republican, Democrat, whatever, who cares? Why can't we just focus on the best person for the job? And he just happens to be the best person for the job.
Well, there's
never addressed anything.
There's a
I just don't know. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say what you recognize and what I recognize that bothers us about that is, you know, if the same words came out of someone who was on their same team, they would have probably clapped for it. They probably would have stood up for it. They probably would have cheered it. They probably would have said nice things about it in subsequent interviews. So what we have is the behavior of politics mirroring what happens with our behavior when it comes to sports. You know, we see someone in an Eagles jersey, we just automatically say boo. Or if there's like a controversial call where like a Cowboy was almost to the first down line, and the guy on the other team will see the exact same play and say there's no way he made it to the first down line. And, you know, two people can see the exact same thing but have opposite reactions because of their previous affiliation to the participants involved. They're, you know, you're cheering for your team, not necessarily what actually happened on the field. How many people from Green Bay think Dez caught that ball versus how many people from Dallas think Dez caught the ball? I don't know if you know that reference in the playoffs about 10 years ago.
I do, and I'm a cheesehead. So yeah, Dez did not catch that ball.
Right. And so you and I can see that exact same play, and because of our allegiance to those teams, we come up with different conclusions on the exact same set of information and material, and that's what happens with politics.
But I'm also open enough, and you know, I can also like step outside the box and be like, okay, really now, like, just because I want the Packers to win, but okay, you know what, he really did catch that ball, and I love my Packers, but that was the right call because, you know, so why can't people just get outside, you know, and just be like, okay, you know what, even though he's a Republican, that speech was pretty damn good.
Okay, but
on everything.
Right, but this isn't like a problem with Republicans or Democrats. This is just a human behavior quirk. Because if we perceive someone as being on the other team, we automatically fight back against them. Like when an atheist reads the Bible, they don't read the Bible thinking, hey, what can I learn from this? They read the Bible thinking, what kind of garbage is this going to throw at me? What are they going to say ridiculous that I can use to refute and like reestablish my pre-existing bias or, you know, support my bias? Just the same.
But the people already kind of like with this last election, the people kind of already made it a little clear. I mean, there was more Democrats that voted for a Republican. I mean, he brought the beginning of, hey, can we just forget about the political party? Because that's the biggest thing that divides this country is Republican, Democrat. But, you know, I mean, I ask people that are Democrat or Republican, why? You know, why do you like, you know, why did you like Biden? Why do you like Kamala? Why do you like Trump? And the Democrat people that, you know, camel toe should have won, whatever. Okay, why? What did you think she was better at? Nobody ever they just like, well, I claim to be Democrat, so I have to just be a sheep and go with that party. Let's just get rid of the political parties. And let's just vote for just have the best person. White, pink, purple, male, female.
Yeah, I mean, we still are going to end up with political parties because if you're someone that believes we should grow government, you're going to coalesce with other people that believe we should grow government. And if you're someone that thinks we should limit government or, God forbid, shrink the government, you're necessarily going to kind of support that cause. It's because there's different worldviews, and maybe we don't need two political parties. Maybe we need like 3 or 4. But I appreciate you calling in. That's Jill and Salina. My next guest is a regular guest on the James Show. It's Jason Taylor from Code Launch. Code Launch is a show that's like Shark Tank, but for tech startups and apps and stuff. So welcome back, Jason. Generally speaking, I guess the tech sector and startup businesses probably like what they heard in last night's speech. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, thank you, James. I think small business owners and tech startups, well, especially tech startups, they're looking to a longer-term future, one where the stress, like fear and uncertainty about these tariffs will be kind of behind us. So it's not real up in front and center for our tech startup community. But, you know, the small business owners definitely are concerned, and you can see that in the stock market in the past few days, because stock markets represents everybody: big business, medium business, small business, retirees, and there's been some stress and some uncertainty.
Well, I figured y'all would be in a similar boat that we're in over here in sort of the entertainment, broadcasting, whatever you want to call, Cumulus and WBAP, because, there's tariffs and we do some sort of international business in some aspects, but we don't actually physically transport goods across boundaries. So if you're just sending ones and zeros across boundaries, there tends to be less of a disruption from the tariff world. And I just kind of assume startups would be in a similar situation in the tech space.
Yeah, I think so. And technology services that are going to cross those borders, at this point at least, are not part of the tariff. And I don't even know if they're eligible to be tariffed. I'm not sure that they are. So, we do help startups in Mexico and Canada. And so that would be a real big issue if it was impacting us, but it's not going to, at least right now.
Is there any excitement, movement, or conversation being had about the investments in chips? I think we're throwing a few $1 billion in taxpayer money at semiconductors here in America. Is that expected to make any waves in your arena?
In our arena, every single startup that we're helping right now is trying to leverage AI. And it's not even it's literally all of them, because the power of AI has the potential to make any digital product better. And so that's why you've noticed all the big digital products have already implemented it. From Twitter has their own, all the Facebook Meta products have their own. Amazon is rolling out its own, and Google, and the list goes on. And as the smaller products, which some of them also have massive user bases, they're all going to leverage AI to make what they do work in a new and even better way. So for sure, there's a lot of excitement about the potential of American ingenuity in the form of AI really taking off, and for the United States to be a leader in that arena.
Well, it's cool to see it happening so fast, because this feels like the Uber effect that happened. I don't know. When was the first time you took an Uber? 10 years ago or so? And when you did, the first time you did, you looked at all these other goods and services and thought, well, we could just Uberize that too. I don't have to have a veterinarian. I could have an app that hooks me up with the veterinarian. I don't have to have the restaurant deliver food to me. I could just get an app that finds a food deliverer guy, DoorDash. We all saw DoorDash coming before it was invented when we saw Uber. And so now AI is kind of doing the same thing. It's well, if you can add this artificial intelligence to this forum and it works so well, why don't we do it in all these other forums? And I think the entrepreneurs are going to be gobbling that up in about a year or two.
I think you're right. And that's very good analogy and insight there. For a while, the startups coming to CodeLaunch.com where we're coming, they were Uber for this, Uber for that, Uber for the other, and that's the way we refer to them. And so, but the thing is, all these products are not going to be inventing their own AI platform. They're going to be leveraging one of these big ones who are now competing for market share and using its tools and the power that it presents to their application to provide to their users in some new way. So, the actual core AI platforms, OpenAI, Google's, X's, all of those are going to be huge products that are going to cause winners and losers, and definitely going to bring growth to lots of products that you already use.
All right, so you have the show Code Launch. I remember the rumors about some Netflix discussions when you had your finals last year. Whatever happened to that?
Well, we put together a pilot, and we've run it past some producers, and we've gotten some feedback, and we're actually working on this year's schedule in Canada, Mexico, and the U.S., and we hope to eventually build enough community and enough excitement and enough awareness about this awesome idea that we have, that tech startup founders can be launched by professional developers competing for cash. And we think that eventually we will be on a streaming platform. Who knows which one? Could be Netflix, could be one of the other ones, could be Hulu.
All right, that all sounds fun. Keep me updated. I'd love to see you on the streaming platform. This is Jason Taylor from Code Launch. If you got a startup, you look at a tech startup, Code Launch might be your entree. It's just Shark Tank, but for tech startups. It's a cool little show. Go check it out. So last night, Donald Trump gets out there, and this is toward the very beginning of his speech. He doesn't get but a few sentences in, and there's a bunch of boos, and then the boos are sustained. And now you and I can't see when we're watching this on TV, but there were people standing up, and, they would make their little fuss, have a little hissy fit. After a few seconds, they would sit down, but Al Green wasn't going and sitting down again. So eventually, we had to. I'll just play the whole thing. It's really only like a less than 2-minute process here, where they try to continue, even though he doesn't sit down. He's not on a microphone, so we can't hear him. But Trump can hear him. Everybody in the hall can hear him just fine. And so after warnings and repeated requests for him to stop and sit down and quit interrupting, he was removed by the Sergeant at Arms. This is Al Green, representative from Houston last night.
Likewise, small business optimism saw its single largest 1-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant at Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Takes they did the goodbye chant, and it takes a minute to walk the old guy out. Another thing I think of when I see that is what we talked about yesterday. Remember how we were having the town halls with the local state representatives, one in Palestine, one in Wiley, and they got shouted down, and they had to end the town halls early because a bunch of hecklers just came in and didn't let them have a speech, didn't let them have a back and forth, didn't let them answer questions. It's the same energy. It's not the exact same thing, but it's the same energy. Also, like, the guy's like 80 years old. Al Green, the politician, the congressman from the Houston area. Now, when I see guys like that have like not one gray hair, I just assume they're dyeing their hair, right? And he has the big beard, so he dyes his beard. Do y'all have to do that every day? Like, do I need to be doing that? Because I got quite a bit of gray in my beard, and I don't know. Am I supposed to be doing that? Would it look better? Is that embarrassing? I mean, he's 77 years old, not one gray hair. Ladies, does that look dumb when guys dye their beard? Like, I know he's not fooling anybody. I know we all know, or just assume he's dyeing it. Do I need to start doing that? Would that help for me, or would I just look like a poser? Garrett, your opinion does not matter in this situation. Only ladies or guys who have dyed their beard before. 800-288-9227. You don't have to really call and answer on that, but 800-288-9227. Coming up next, updates on the tariff and trade war with Canada, Mexico, and China. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.